Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure now, as part of our Broadband World Forum interview series, to have Kevin Hynes here with me, the Managing Director for KMCO Group, but also the CEO and founder for MapAll Technologies. Now, KMCO Group was initially formed with a specific agenda of supplying experienced and high qualified operatives to the telecoms industry. Since its inception in 2004, KMCO Group now offers and has the expertise to deliver full turnkey solutions. However, it was from Kieran's experience and a simple idea in 2018 that MapAll Technologies was formed. Here, MapAll Technologies have developed proprietary technology that allows telecoms engineers to track, update, and record works direct from the mobile device. The MapAll app works by logging the exact route and status of any cable and fibre optic joint at the click of a button. MapAll's platform creates detailed and accurate infrastructure maps for network operators in real time. Kieran, it's lovely to have you with us here today.
Thank you very much.
So, an opening question for you here. For the past 20 years at Broadband World Forum, we have been delving into how network infrastructure continues to evolve and identifying the key building blocks for the next generation network. What sort of role do you see existing and legacy infrastructure playing in delivering the network of the future?
You will always need the existing infrastructure. A basis of many operators is to utilize the existing infrastructure to keep costings on new builds to a minimum. This has been proven over the past 10 years with operators choosing to eliminate defects on existing networks rather than spending money doing overlays. The legacy infrastructure will continue to supply customers, and as hardware and software continues to evolve, operators will find ways, I'm sure, of maximizing its use. I think one of the issues with this legacy infrastructure is most of the big incumbent network operators in the UK have either inherited a lot of their networks over time, or it's old and has been in the ground for years. The quality of the records that they have for the positioning of their infrastructure is very poor, and in some cases they don't have any. Space will also be a big problem, especially in built-up areas. The problem with congested ducts, chambers that are already full, will not make it easy. This is one of the reasons MapAll was created by us. The time that is lost by engineers trying to install cables in these old networks is phenomenal. Add to that the cost of engineers, truck rolls having to revisit sites, plus the time office staff have to put into correlating all that information. I also think smaller equipment will be needed. Smaller cables, the use of ribbon fibre should be utilised. Same size cable but delivers far more capacity, and also the enclosure sizes that are being used on cable joints.
Now, some excellent points. So I totally hear you when talking about that legacy network, and even what we're saying here about the next generation technologies. They're going to be in the ground for years and years. It's not just something which gets updated time after time after time. So with that in mind, from your working closely with key broadband service providers and operators in the industry, what strategies are you seeing them take on board in 2020, a year that has seen some extremely significant disruption across the board from COVID-19?
Well, obviously, as you said, the lockdown measures imposed with the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic have highlighted the importance of strategy, strategic thinking when it comes to business. It has changed how companies operate. Strategies that were put in place at the start of 2020 will probably have now been ripped up. Within KMCO Group, we have looked at strategies to keep our staff safe, but also to keep them working. And I believe the key worker system which the government introduced was so important for the telecoms industry. I think for network operators, the sudden demand for network coverage from homeowners and sudden everyday use of Zoom, our new normal, has forced operators to have a better strategy in place for the future. The strategy I believe that most operators are basing their business on right now is a simple land grab. Be the first to offer super fast broadband in an area.
Nice, and you mentioned that strategy there. Perhaps we could go into a little bit deeper. So perhaps what are three major points you think that service providers and operators should consider when they are auditing their current existing infrastructure to make it future-proof?
Well, I'd say the quality of information. If the planning design is wrong at the starting point, this will cause real issues. Delays, increased build costs, even with new network build, the ability to record changes, positions of infrastructure. This need will need to be given more thought, and it'll have to be done better in the future. It seems to be the case that it's all about getting the network in. It tends to be all about the homes passed. Very little time is ever given to record the actual chambers or the actual changes in a network and where cable or joints have actually been installed. Secondly, I'd say capacity in a network would be a major factor. Knowing where space is and what is already in the ground. One of the clever things we have done with MapAll has been to design a way to record what space is available in any duct. And this can be done during the audit stage or when a cable has been installed. The third point I'd say probably would be wayleaves. Getting access across private lands, especially in rural areas, trying to make that whole process easier for everybody, I think would really help.
No, definitely. And I certainly can think about elaborating more in terms of the size of device. And you were mentioning you think things are getting smaller, and we see that across a range of networking technologies, particularly when it comes to those hardware elements, that they are wanting to be miniaturized, but also be able to support various services and applications on top. Thinking then, and let's dig a little bit further there. So expanding upon your expertise of fibre optic network infrastructure. So with the platform for MapAll, it's a system to track the build and maintenance of those fibre optic networks, obviously, as you mentioned. But where do you see, or could you go a little bit further into how MapAll deals with those biggest challenges you just highlighted there?
Well, MapAll fills the gap when it comes to design versus actual build. Most of the planning tools are desktop based, and there's very little interaction between the planner and the on-site engineer. We have developed our technology to either ingest plans from an operator, or you can plan direct on the MapAll platform. We can then push that plan to any MapAll user's mobile device, and then allow that user to change or move the position of any infrastructure on that plan. And it's all done in real time. MapAll can also be used to audit a network. Engineers can simply walk the route of the cable. Using MapAll's technology, it creates detailed maps of the cable route. It records the cable size, the ducts the cable is in, how many ducts are en route, what space is in each duct, the chamber details, the type of chamber, the address, the grid references of every chamber, the distances between the total end-to-end distance of the cable is automatically calculated. It's all based on full ordnance survey maps showing exactly where the cable is going and all the details about it. MapAll users can also record any issues stopping a cable installation in real time and generate reports showing exactly what and where the problem is. We have also created a way to record every joint or connection on a network, from what cables are in the joint, what type of enclosure are used, again, cable size, the tubes, the fibre spliced. We even record the tray numbers where the fibres are stored. MapAll's platform builds exact schematic diagrams for every joint, whether it's a newly installed joint or whether it's an old existing one. Of course, having all this information in one place means we can report on exactly how the build or anybody's build is going. Operators can see their network build being expanded in real time, giving them the ability to update their customers with real and correct information. MapAll is also based on a full GIS system that can be hosted in the cloud or can be hosted in an operator's NOC, and it gets rid of all the misinformation of the past and enables faster build times. It reduces costs, and it just makes everybody's life easier, to be honest.
Fantastic, and that does sound like a truly comprehensive solution there across all those different elements. Now, obviously, we're speaking here at the Broadband World Forum today, so what can attendees expect from you and MapAll out on the show floor?
Well, what I would say is come and say hello at our booth. We have lots of information about what MapAll can do. We love to speak to people about what problems they're having with building their networks or maintaining their networks, and we'd love to see if we can help. We've also big plans for next year. We're talking to some of the biggest operators in the UK at the moment, and we plan to push our technology out and introduce it to all the telecoms operators around Europe and Northern America, hopefully. So we're really hoping for a good show, make lots of contacts.
That's fantastic, and I know we've got, I think, a couple of minutes left. So would you actually like to elaborate a little bit more then? Because obviously from what you mentioned about OS service maps and being really tied into the UK infrastructure, that's been your kind of base so far. But how are you looking to take this further into Europe and also North America across the pond?
Well, over my experience from having KMCO Group, we've worked for nearly all the big operators in the UK. And we have found that every operator has the very same issues. It's not just tied to one country or one continent. Every telecoms operation, all the cable is put in the ground pretty much the same way. They all use pretty much the same technology. The issues they have is recording where that infrastructure is being built. So that's what we concentrated on solely it started in the UK, but it was actually built for KMCO Group. We used it as a tool for ourselves. It was supposed to be just a simple tool to help us get updates from our staff, but it's evolved into what it is now. It's a full complex system that can handle, one of the big operators' network. It's not just individual jobs that it records a full network build. So over time, every job you do is logged on a network map. So you can see every cabling job, every joint that has been created on your network. Once you're looking at the network map, you can simply click on the cable. It brings up the job for that cable. You can see who installed it, when it was installed, all the detail about the job. So it's a fully encompassing system. So as I said, it can be used by any operator, to be honest. Our plans moving forward, probably in the next couple of years, would be to develop it out for the likes of water and power, because it's the very same thing for water. They need to know where all their connections are, trying to connect into homes, especially when it comes to digging the roads. For people, in the telecoms industry, putting ducts in, you need to know where that water pipe is. You need to know where the gas pipe is. So being able to record that detail, the level of detail that's required, the next person who works on the road will obviously benefit from that. So that's what we plan to do. That's our plans.
That's excellent, because it also raises an important point around telecom infrastructure when it's being implemented. Actually, it does generally mean digging up roads and all those kind of things, which also means actually for operators, as we've heard many times over the years, some of the best and most cost-effective ways that they can deploy their networks is when they are closely integrated or working with partners in water and electrical industries as well. Okay, thank you very much, Kieran. It's been wonderful having you today. Do you have any last words then for delegates and the show visitors?
Well, as I said, just enjoy the show and feel free to contact us. We'll be there for the 3 days. Really looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kieran.
Thanks, Chris.